What is up, my Slifer Slackers? This is Mr. Slifer for the win here, doing another video. So this video I'm going to be talking about, as you can see in the title above, I am doing tips for Vanguard. So basically, I'm going to be most of these tips. These tips are mine as well, but these tips are also given to me from two of my friends. One of them is goes by the name of RNLL Leader. He has a channel on YouTube. I apologize for not being able to find his channel or to leave a link in the description, but I have heard good things from him, and be sure to check him out if you can. Like, if you can find his videos, please send me a link. And if RNLL Leader is hearing this, I'm sorry I can put off this video even any longer. I had to make it before I go to Corpus, and I can't upload any videos until then. So I will record and I will upload when I get back, but except right now I probably won't be able to upload anything or do anything because I'm gonna be spending time with my family. Yay! Anyway, the other person who sent me tips he goes by the name of the Gold Paladin King, and the truth is, he really is a Gold Paladin King. He's like the best Gold Paladin I know. And you can just call me the Reckless Royal Paladin because, hell, I'm reckless. Alright, let's get this thing started. So this first tip I got was from the Gold Paladin King, which was, when using the skills of Gold Paladins to make an empty space, you can call a Flame of Victory over the unit and then move to the soul. So something I'd like to add to this would be, it is good, because as you know, or if you don't know, Gold Paladin's characteristics are to superior call things from the deck. And most of the time, they'll have a skill where call to an open rear guard instead of just call it to rear guard. So with this Flame of Victory, you call Flame of Victory. If you don't know what Flame of Victory skill is, you call it. If it's on rear guard, you can move to the soul, and then you can give one of your Gold Paladins plus 3,000 power. The reason why this works is because you can move it to soul to get a free space, and you can give one of your Gold Paladins another 3,000 power. So a good way to do this would say, let's say you want to get another Gold Paladin to the rear guard circle. For instance, if you're running Ezel and you have Spring Beam Messenger as your booster. So what you want to do is, if you want to get a free space to get that Pelennor, if you do run Pelennor, call Flame of Victory to rear guard, move to soul, give the power to one of your random units. For instance, if you want to give it to an AK Grade 2 to hit that 10k Vanguard, give it to it, then attack with it first. That's always the best call. Yeah, so the next tip was, again, from the Gold Paladin King. Most of these tips are going to be from the Gold Paladin King, so yeah, you saw, there's a ghost in my house, guys. I'm just kidding. So another tip would be, if I can find it, here it is. When using a deck with a subclan, for instance, Liberators and Gold Paladin, when using a deck like that, it is theoretically possible to run cards outside of that subclan. As if you've been watching the anime and you've seen Aichi using Liberators with the old Gold Paladins, like Flame of Victory, Player of the Holy Bow Vivian, then yeah, it is possible to run them. Just keep it to a minimum. As he said, when a deck requires an special anything, it is advised to use 4 through 8 cards at most from outside of that subclan in order to assure that it doesn't interfere with usage of the unit's skills, which is a good thing. Well, which is a bad thing if you run too many things. Sure, it was okay when they first came out, like when the first Liberator deck and Narukami Eradicator deck came out. Sorry, I lost track there. When they come out, then yeah, it was okay to use units outside of that subclan because the set hasn't come in yet. But now, you really do want to run only a limited amount of cards out of the subclan. Alright, another tip he gave me was, let's see if I can't find it. When using a deck with Quintet Walls, it is advised to run more 10k shields. This doesn't mean to run 12 crits, it just means run more 10 down shields. For instance, you may want to run Stance Riggers. I mean, I know they're bad at times, but take my word for it, they are useful. Unless there are clans you don't really want to use them for. Otherwise, you may want to run 12 crits, because hey, we all know crits work, and they work really well. But Also, stand triggers. Let me give you advice on that. When you're using stand triggers, of course, sorry, I kind of started there. When using stand triggers, it's good to use, but it's also, actually no, it's really good to use. Because, sure, you may have to adapt to your strategy as attacking with rear, van, then rear. But at least this way, if you know your opponent has a perfect guard in their hand, and if you get a critical and they guard that, like to nullify it, and you get instead, and you like waste that one final attack and you lose the next turn. Let me get the music back on. And can't get the music back on. So with that, running stand triggers help you eliminate that chance of them getting using a perfect guard. Plus, it makes them have to guard even more. Sure, I know what you're all thinking. Like, wait a minute, isn't a critical and a stand trigger basically the same? Because you're getting a critical gives you extra damage, which is basically another attack. Yes, I know that. Wait, I know that is true. But when attacking with a stand trigger, it gives you another attack, thus making your opponent have to guard even more. And if they have a perfect guard and they could technically guard your last attack, which would have been the critical, then they wouldn't be able to do that because then they have to guard the other attack that's standing up. Personally, I haven't used stand triggers in forever, but I am debating on putting them back in the deck just to see if it works. Alright. As to Quintet Walls, oh yeah, I got off track there, I'm sorry. But as he said about Quintet Walls, you do want to run more 10k shields, but it doesn't entirely mean to run 12 crit, but it would mean that you have to have a high chance of successful guarding it of attacks. Just be wary of how much remains in your deck. If you're using a deck that is heavy on drawing or milling, Grand Blue, sorry, I have a cough, then you are most likely to deck out on that. Alright. When Legion comes out, don't run Anti-Legion Grade 2s. Anti-Legion Grade 2 Rush. It may seem a smart idea at first, but if you can't kill him fast, then your efforts will be wasted. Also, limit breaks still exist. Not everyone will be using Legion. That is true, because think about it. If most of us may not have the funds to get Legion, and we'll just be stuck with using limit break or break ride. That's okay, guys, because think about it. Most people are still using units that don't even run limit break. And look where they are right now. They're still doing great. I mean, sure they're running break ride and all, but at least we're turning these old clans or old deck builds into something better. Like that brings it to a point that Tom said. I mean, the Gold Paladin King said. You did not hear me at all about that. He said older units are not entirely as bad as you may think. If you look back into the past sets, it is likely that you may find a few gems that could complete your deck or shock people into simplicity of its in conclusion. Sorry. Like for instance, Majesty Lord Blaster. I had that deck. I still do, but I am taking a backseat on my deck to run Soul Slaver / Dignified Silver because that deck does work. I'll tell you about that later in the video. Anyway. After I talk about the Gold Paladin King's tips and RNLL leaders tips. So yeah, he's right about this because if you take a clan like Dope, I mean not a clan, but a deck build like Dope, which if you don't know stands for Draconic Overlord the End, and combine that with the new Overlord coming out later on this year, or for right now, Dauntless Drive Dragon, if you add that with that deck or that unit, then yeah, that clan can that deck build can be really scary again. Oh man, hiccups. So just because a card doesn't have limit break or it's old, it doesn't mean it's bad. Actually, maybe it means it's really good, and we're just like not looking past. We're just looking past that to see the new things. Because come on, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you like new stuff that you just replace your old things for it? I can tell you guys are raising hands right now. If you raise your hand, then yeah, you know where I'm coming from. You know that everyone in the world likes to get something new and replace their old things. That is true. It's a common trait for human beings. But because of this, we're blinded by the truth that the older units are actually the best. And I know it may sound like a case of nostalgia for me, but in retrospect, it really is true. Using clans or cards from previous sets like set 1 and all work really well right now. Even if it doesn't seem like it. Alright, let's see. I'm pretty sure that was his last tip. Alright, never mind. Here's one more tip. If you're having trouble deciding a starter, grade 3 searchers tend to be pretty useful. They both can help you get your ace, can take a non-trigger card out of your deck, and may give you that extra attacker you're in desperate need of. And I'm pretty sure that's all he has. But it is true, because think about it. How many times have you been grade locked at 2, not being able to get grade 3? I know for a fact that I am one of those people. And by getting this unit, it's really useful to have a grade 3 in your hand. But what sucks for me is for War Paladin, they don't have that yet. Luckily, we do have something like that. It's called Pongal, guys. Get Soul Saver. Anyway, on to Art and LL Leaders tips. He says keep your opponent's hand at a 5 at least, because if you keep it to a minimum of 5, you have a better capability of taking him out and making him have the guard. Or, yeah, you have a better capability of taking him out later on in the game. Also, keep a good hand size. Guard on early on, he says. Because if you do, you won't have to worry about getting crushed later on in the game. And, unless you have a clan or deck that works really good late game, then besides that, guard early on. Because if you don't, then you're most likely going to lose early on. I mean, think about it. How many times have we lost? How many times have we gotten to 4 damage in like the very first turn? Yeah, I'm one of those people. He also says, okay, yeah. Okay, he says, and I quote, okay, and my tip for guarding would be, guarding you should be doing it early so that late game doesn't mess you up later on. Unless you have a certain deck that does good with lots of damage, counterblast, and is good in late game. For instance, a good clan like that would have to be, I'd say, Dimension Police, because as you know, they hit pretty hard late game. And they work really well to get the Vanguard into that one final attack, or stroke, whatever. And, yeah. Let's see, I'm pretty sure that's all he had, if I can find. Yeah. Yeah, that's all he has. But, yeah. So, on to my tips. Those are all the tips I have for them. As for my tips is don't be reckless. Because, think about it. We've all been a beginner, we've all been a noob, and we've all made mistakes of being reckless and getting, like, reckless attacks. For instance, if you're a Royal Paladin player like me, then you should know about Solitary Knight Gantz a lot. You should know how fun it is to use its skill. But we all know, Perfect Guards are a pain in the ass. And, I'm sorry, I can't, like, sit around right now. But, as we all know, Perfect Guards can kill that one strategy we may have, which is counterblasting, using its skill twice in the same turn and just getting shut down by a Perfect Guard. Yeah, it's bad, because we know we can't guard for the next attack because we're only a 9k beater. So, yeah, don't be reckless. Unless you know how to use it to your advantage. If you know how to be reckless and using it to your advantage, then I say go for it. But, if you're gonna, like a good time to be reckless would be when you're at 5 damage, you only have 3 cards in hand, your field is crap, and your opponent has 5 damage as well, and they have, okay, picture it. You're using a Royal Paladin deck. You draw into Soul Saver Dragon, you have enough soul to get its skill off. You have 5 damage, your opponent's at 5 damage, he has 1 intercept, and he has 8 cards in hand. What do? Balls on the wall. That's when you be reckless, pull out all the stops, go push for game. That's the only time you want to go for push for game. If you don't, you're most likely going to lose the next turn. Either way, no. You are going to lose next turn because you don't have enough to guard. Keep in mind, you only have 3 cards. 4 if you want to include the Soul Saver, which you're about to ride, and you're going to most likely going to call 2 more cards in your hand. You only have 1 card. And by the end of turn, unless you get a draw trigger, you only have 3 cards in hand. So the best thing to do is to go for it. Another tip, hit for high numbers. Thanks to Limit Break and Break Rides, we are now able to hit for like 20k each turn. And with those units like not Sanctuary Guard, like Dignified Silver Dragon here, where its ability is let me see if I can't zoom in there. If you can't, yeah, that's mirror. I'm sorry. If you can't read its ability, or if you don't know its ability, it's a limit break unit that if it attacks, it gets just gets plus 5,000 attacking power when attacking the Vanguard, and plus 2,000 when attacking the rear guard, or attacking as rear guard. That's a really good thing to use because if you have a boost with Torpedo or your AK Beater, you'll be hitting for 20 each turn, or 21 for Torpedo's sake, and that's really good because it makes your opponent have to guard for 15 each turn, or just take it. And as we know, it's really hard to guard. It isn't that hard to guard, honestly, but yeah, it takes a really huge chunk out of the hand, which is really good for you if you're using that card. But if you're getting used against it, then yeah, you're dead. Another thing is, take out your opponent's rear guards. Clans that are good at this are obviously Narukami and Kagero. Some clans that can also do this are Royal Paladin with Blaster Blade, Shadow Paladin with Blaster Dark, Liberators with Blaster Blade Liberator, Gold Paladin with Blaster Blade Spirit, or Royal Paladin as well, because as we all know, Blaster Blade is also a Royal Paladin that can double off as Gold Paladin. Also, Shadow Paladin Revenger, Blaster Dark Revenger, Dark Irregulars of Grim the Ripper. I'm pretty sure that's all I can think of right now, but that's all that comes to my mind. But taking out your opponent's rear guards are really good because sure, you may be wasting an attack, but keep in mind, you're either taking out a unit that your opponent may use later on, or you're making your opponent drop cards from your hand to guard it. Either way, they're gonna be too busy. They're gonna be losing cards because they're trying to guard it, or they're gonna have to be replacing it. Either way, they're losing cards and you're gaining momentum. This is a good thing. You want to keep on putting the pressure onto your opponent. Cards like this would be cards that, like, if the attack hits, you can counterblast or get a skill off. You want to get those cards. You want to be able to hit your opponent with those cards, because if you don't, or because if you do, it forces your opponent to drop cards to guard. Cards they may not want to drop to guard with. This works really well with Gold Paladin, especially with Trip. I forgot. I believe it's hold on. Eskrad, Vivian, Nimue, anything that Superior calls anything. Springbreeze Messenger, anything like that. Or Katie for Liberators, and I have to get a drink of water. But keep on the pressure. That's my biggest tip. Keep on the pressure, because by keeping on the pressure, you're forcing your opponent to guard as much as they don't want to, or as much as they don't need to. By keeping on the pressure, you're basically pushing for game each turn. A good way to do this: hit for high numbers, pressure them into guarding, pressure them into a corner where they can't get out at all. Well, yeah, I've taken up enough of you guys' time. So yeah, if these tips help you, be sure to leave a comment down below. If you have any more tips, again, leave a comment down below. I look forward to card fighting anyone, or I look forward to meeting you guys in battle. This is Mr. Slifer for the win, signing off. Later, Slifer Slackers.